Hi everyone, and welcome into my humble abode here in Bandera, Texas now. Domicile number 9, I think. And welcome to my YouTube channel. I do sincerely appreciate each and every one of you being here and looking to me for instruction on your pedal steel guitar. And today we're going to take a look at Panhandle Rag. So before we get into it, it's not about me comping somebody else's runs or somebody else's melody lines. What we're actually going to get into is some dominant 7th and pentatonic modes that I want to show you. Because I like to see you get outside of the box. And personally, outside of the box for me means augmented, diminished, sharp 5 13s, sharp 5 flat 9s, those kind of things that we rarely hear pedal steel guitar players do, except a lot of the really proficient C6 players. And this is basically a C6 song, but we're going to adapt it for the E9 pedal steel guitar. And in the end, I'm going to try to explain to you how I am now viewing the fretboard when it comes to single note lines. Many of you, especially beginners, we tend to rely on using our pedals and our levers for almost everything, and we want to keep the bar stationary. We forget about the fact that it's a very dynamic instrument to be played on a linear level by moving the bar around and being able to effectively block the notes in between. We begin to sound actually more like a guitar, but we have so much more flexibility. So just think, if you could be the world's greatest guitar player and you could comp everything that you can play on guitar. Think of playing Cliffs of Dover on the pedal steel. I mean, it's entirely possible, and eventually I'm going to work this out. But right now, I guess I don't have the time. I don't know. I procrastinate all the time. But when I get in moods like this, where I have this real desire to pass on knowledge to people, and I see the effects of it on the web. And when I meet a lot of you in person, the steel guitar shows, or during my travels as a pilot. So anyway, that's enough yakking. Let's get into Panhandle Rag for the E9 pedal steel guitar. We're going to begin at position number 3 with the A and B pedals down. And our first phrase is going to be 3-4-1-4-6. And you probably recognize this phrase. It incorporates an alternating pick pattern, pick blocking, some palm blocking, and as well as blocking behind the bar. Now when I say blocking behind the bar, actually I'm dampening here, but anything that's protruding out past the bar, I can actually dampen my high strings with this portion of my hand as well, and still be able to articulate the bar forward or higher and lower in the register here like this. So my primary position where I'm going to start is here. Notice that my picks are around fret number 12 to 14, and they're splayed out across those 3 frets. I can effectively block here with these 2 fingers. And this actually tactile input right here from these fingers actually keeps me centered on my strings as well. My fingering for this is going to be basically just my middle finger and my thumb. So here it is, 3-4-1-4-6. Now from here, notice the change of the position of my bar here. I'm going to slide the bar back, but I'm going to leave my finger out over string number 4. This way I can block string 4 like this. Now from here, with the A and B pedals still engaged, I'm just going to play some alternating patterns between strings 5 and string number 8, utilizing string 7, which is the 6th tone in C. With the A and B pedals down, 8-7-6, slur the minor third / major third. You can either do it by itself or slide it with E open, or slur it with E open again. And then come back down. And this is 6, 7, and 9 with the B pedal. So 8, 7, 6, alternating back and forth. Any combination you want. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. But let's get used to going back and forth. Now, before we go any further, I want to show you how you're going to get into the pentatonic mode from this position right here. And it's easy. We'll just call it the minor. What we want to do is change this note right here to a dominant 7. And we're going to leave this note the same. So the only way to get this note up to here is if we have a raise, and I have a whole tone raise, but I can probably half step, feel it, is to this, or we can just move up a fret and lower our E's. See, this changes the entire feel of this phrase, going from to. Now we're getting into a pentatonic / minor mode over a major chord, which is truly a trigger for emotion. And that's what emotion and tension, that's what music's all about, right? So let's start over from the top. Here we are at 6, 7, and 9 with the B pedal. We're going to move up to 6, 8, and 10 at 4 note pedals, but we're going to use our E lever and raise our E to F. This gives us a diminished chord, or a diminished triad, I should say, and then back into the C chord here with whatever group of strings that you want to use. But if you use them down here and keep them all tightly grouped down here in the bottom register, you wind up with a nice little counterpoint. So let's work on just that move with the B pedal engaged, 6, 7, and 9. I'm going to slide in at 3. I'm going to dampen, immediately come up a half step, release the pedal, and engage the lever to raise E to F. And then dampen that and come back to the C chord here at position C. Now to get into the 5 chord, I'm going to play this run. I'm going to use 5 and 6, so I'm right in the middle of the fretboard, and I'm going to slide into position number 8, because we're still in the C. I'm going to depress the A and B pedals and strike 7 and then 5 and 6, and it sounds like this. So this gives me a staccato effect. Depress the pedals, dampen, strike 7, strike 5 and 6, now 4 and 5. Now you can dampen and strike again, or just morph into this. I like to play it staccato all the way through. Now when we get into the F chord, the melody line is Now, let's do this with an alternating pick pattern back and forth over an F7. F7 or F9 can be found at position number 6 with the A and B pedals engaged and the E's lowered. So our dominant 7th that we're going to be moving back and forth on is now on our B pedal at string number 6. So that's just 6 and 7 at position number 6. And B pedal down, I'm toggling. Well, now let's throw in some of this. We can use all kinds of other notes in this pivot. If you just want it to be a single note line, how about we do a single note first, then we do a 2-note, and then we pivot. The third time we slide. Again, what we're getting into is being unpredictable. If we just go, okay, let's look at this mode that I just played this lick in C. If you look at C major from this standpoint, in position number 1 with the E's lowered, we see a C6. But with the A and B pedals, if we include string 7, we also see a C6. Here Here, of course, C6 can be found by engaging the A pedal. C6/A minor, basically the same chord, relative minors. But let's move from C major into C dominant seventh. So when I say dominant seventh, we can use a pentatonic type chord form, or a pentatonic type scale form, which lends itself more to minor than it does to major. The minor third slur is different from the major third slur. So let's look at C dominant 7, how we can get around just between frets number 4 and fret number 1. I'm going to begin around, let's begin at string number 8. Let's go to position number 4 and lower our E's. Let's look at this simple move. This is 8, 7, 6, 5, drop back to fret number 3 and engage the B pedal to keep the 5th tone in F, which is a C, in position. So we don't have to go move another fret for that. Remember, the hardest thing to do for us in playing single note lines is to strike a note and dampen and then move a fret away or a string away and get these two notes to come out. But you can practice this, of course. Okay, so 8, 7, 6, 5, back to 3. Now let's come up to string number 7. Come back to 3. That's string number 8 going down. Here's the minor third slur on string number 9, and there's the root. No pedals, no levers. Now that we're here, let's lower our E's. Now that is basically a C minor pattern. But when we incorporate this into a dominant 7 mode, then we create tension in emotion because it's something that's unexpected, right? So let's take that same mode and let's move it to F, and let's add another inversion level. So let's go from F here with the A and B pedals to F here. Then we'll go to F7 at position number 11, and then we'll look at F7 in our primary root position, which of course would be 12 frets from number 1 or fret number 13. We'll begin by playing 8, 7, 6, 5 with the A and B pedals down with a straight F6. F minor can be found by moving up a half step and lowering the E's, the same as we did at C. Now let's look at the next dominant 7th mode going up, and it's simply 2 frets below the primary root position, which would be position number 13. A dominant 7th, his primary note, which is the 7th tone in the scale, is a flatted 7th. It is a whole step below the root. It just so happens that on the pedal steel guitar, almost everything a whole step below the root keeps you in key and in mode. We're going to find a 1 fret difference down at position number 9. But other than that, everything remains pretty consistent. So now playing something like that over, see. that's about enough for one lesson. I think that ought to give you enough to work on. But remember, it's like mixing it up is the key to not being predictable. More coming. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel. My name's Mickey Adams. See you right back here with your steel guitar. So long.